Here's some more elderberry. And then these big overstory trees are actually walnuts. Hey everybody, Lucy here for another video. This is going to be just a short little one. I'm actually not in Canada where I live, but I'm in Slovakia where my grandma lives. And I'm actually at our cottage that we have in the hills of Slovakia. And what's really cool is that we actually have a neglected food forest here. So I just wanted to share that with you because in permaculture, the idea is that if you plant a food forest well, it should be able to hold up against the test of time, even if there's nobody there to take care of it. And actually that's kind of what's going on here. And of course, in many traditional cultures, people created food forests without even knowing, without having the term permaculture to call it, or just using their common sense. And so it was, my grandparents and then the people who owned this property before them who created this. So I just wanted to share it with you. So I'm just going to show you the other view with the phone. I'm going to flip the camera around. So here we are entering into this little pathway that snakes around the cottage, and it looks pretty wild and overgrown, but as you can see, we actually have this understory of elderberry, and my grandma routinely makes preserves. These are beautiful, big, perfectly ripe elderberries right now. And then if you look along the pathway, it's all stinging nettle as far as the eye can see. So you can have all the stinging nettle tea, pesto, etc. As you can eat. There's some more elderberry. And then these big overstory trees are actually walnuts. This year they've had some kind of disease where the nuts have turned black and haven't ripened properly, but normally all of these are walnuts. So if somebody wanted to put the work in, they could get a pretty good, like huge sized walnut crop out of this space. And as you can see, we have a lot of little side buildings here. They were the old like barns and pigsty and stuff like that. And then if we continue up that way, there's a bunch of old apple and plum trees. And this little pathway just leads through a neighboring field and to a bus stop. But I'm gonna just take you over here and show you. There's a fruit that my mom showed me today, and it's like a cherry, but right now it's the end of September and it's ripe right now. As you can hear, there's a road down there. This is it. And my grandma said she used to can these way back in the day. They're like almost like cranberry type of berries. So they're red and quite tart, but not as tart as cranberries. Like you can just eat them raw and they're not too bad. So there's those. Apparently there's a big tree of them somewhere around here. Here we have some little blackberries growing, and literally this property, like nobody really takes care of it. My grandpa passed away, but my grandma doesn't have the energy to take care of it. So it's literally just growing wild, and somebody mows the grass like a few times a year. So now we're entering into the orchard part, which is a very neglected orchard. But we have all the trees that you see are either plum, apple, or pear trees. And yeah, I mean, they definitely need pruning, but they are still going. So here we are at a little apple tree. There's a cute little bird's nest. Yeah, because these apples don't get pruned, they're pretty high up. Like, for me, it's hard to reach them, but there's still fruit growing here every year that gets picked. And we use different measurements here in Slovakia than acres. So I don't know how many acres exactly we have, but I think it's something around maybe like 1.5. There's neighboring land on that side and neighboring land on that side, and then the field you see is already not ours anymore. But yeah, I just think every time I see people being super like helicopter parenting their gardens, I always think of this place and how it keeps producing fruit like these apples and medicines like nettles and berries and all that other stuff for free, nuts, with hardly any maintenance. And we get a full 4 seasons here, so we do have like a hot summer, wet spring and fall, and a cold snowy winter. So it's not like tropical or anything like that. I wanted to quickly show you the adjacent field. That's my sister you see walking there. So we don't own this field, but there's no one ever here, and I think they just use it as a grain field in the summer. And there's tons of yarrow growing and dandelions and clover. If you come here during the right time of the year, this is like just full of flowers, and I love it so much. So that's the fruit orchard that you see over there. So there we are. I just wanted to show you a quick little informal tour of my grandparents' food forest here at the cottage, and just to show you that yeah, like food bearing pieces of land can continue bearing food for many decades, even if they're left untended, especially if they're planted with a bit of forethought in the beginning. I think it would be so cool if this property were taken over by someone who had that mentality. Unfortunately, I don't live here, but there's so much potential. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. A little overgrown food forest tour. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!